What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode on the Black Experience, y'all. Welcome back to another episode in Season 5. We are in Season 5, and we are nearing the end of Season 5. So for all my new supporters, all listeners, watchers of this podcast, and all my longtime supporters, thank you for 2 years and a few months of this podcast. I appreciate y'all. Today, as usual, I have a very special guest with me. Today, I have someone who is the podcast host of the Jola Meets the Madi podcast. He's the business owner of Brima Wear, and he's also an engineer. So let's put our hands together and let's bring up Mr. Ebrima.
Thank you, sir.
How was that, man?
Man, that was good.
Did I cover 90% of what you've done, maybe?
That was more than enough.
How's your day been, man, so far?
Can't complain. Another beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not raining. So whenever it's not cold and raining, I think that's a good day out here. So
And not windy, too.
oh, it's not windy as well. That is true. So it's a win-win for me.
It is a win-win, man.
Yes.
I was at Western yesterday for a friend's graduation.
Okay.
And man, as soon as we got on the campus, it was the windiest day I've ever seen, bro. I had to turn my back and walk backwards.
Did you watch the game today too?
Which one?
It was a big win today for United fans.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I even sent it to my old college group chat saying
Yeah.
Manchester's red.
Well, we're red, so it's a good Sunday.
But you're wearing blue though. What's up with the blue?
It's like, remember when Pogba wore the blue hair and scored 2 goals
Oh.
against? It's that.
It's like good luck.
Yes, exactly.
I forgot you were a United fan, man.
you look,
Oh my
big time
gosh.
United fan. I'm surprised I didn't even wear my United jersey, but it's a good Sunday every time United wins at Derby. So
I'm telling you, man. I was my homie Ben. Ben, if you're listening, shout out to you. We're both United fans,
Yeah.
and we're always like, it doesn't matter how bad of a season we have. Whenever we play City, we're gonna give it to him, bro.
For reals, and we did. Like, new manager, Ahmad. Shout out to Ahmad Jallo. Back
Did
to
you
back.
see that goal, man?
Man, that is so hard. The technique, the touch, the finish, man. Yeah, I was super happy. I'm like, I'm ready for this podcast. It's we win. United wins is always a good day.
Came with good energy,
Yes,
huh?
exactly.
Well, yeah, Ebrima, man. It was good to meet you last time. We were on the
Yes.
phone, and then we realized that our journeys are kind of almost in parallel in terms of the things we've done.
No, for reals.
But yeah, man, if you want to kick it off with talk about a little bit your background, kind of where you're from, and your journey coming to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes. So again, Ebrima, that's my name, Ebrima Baji. I am from the smallest country in mainland Africa, actually, which is the Gambia. We always emphasize on the D. So similar, I would say, to a lot of kids on our generations. Our parents came to America just so that we can be born here and ship us back right away.
Yeah.
So I was definitely part of that contingent. And for good strategic reason, looking back now, I always tell my mom, thank you. But yes, I was born in the U.S., in New York. And from what I know, probably a couple of months or maybe a month later, sent back to Gambia, grow up and understand culture, where you're truly from, and that's where all my family was. So I did spend the early parts of my childhood growing up in the Gambia, and then began moved to Sierra Leone for a few years. My father at that time, he was ambassador for Gambia, so
Wow.
being also the youngest of 5 older siblings, at that time when my dad would move around, he would kind of take me with him. So we lived in Sierra Leone, moved back then to Gambia, and then I ended up finishing high school in India when my dad was sent there as an ambassador as well. And then, from there, made my way to the U.S. for my undergraduate studies. Ended up at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University
Wow.
in Daytona Beach, Florida. My dream growing up, a lot of the time, one of my dreams is always you wanted to be a footballer or something else.
Yeah.
Once the football dreams were not going to be actualized,
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a pilot or some sort of an engineer. I always loved to know how things work. I always had that curiosity for machines, but specifically aviation and airplanes. I had, since as long as I can remember, fascination for airplanes, loved it, and wanted to either be a pilot or aerospace engineer.
Wow.
And it came to 2 things. I did realize that I wanted to know how airplanes worked,
Mm-hmm.
how they got up to the sky and came down,
Yeah.
more than how to fly them.
Wow.
So,
Kind of the process behind it.
yes, how does it work?
Yeah.
How does something like this happen? What is the physics behind it? The magic behind it, really.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously with that, that means that you need to be an aeronautical engineer in order to understand the physics of aerodynamics and what that entails. So that's why I studied aerospace engineering. And I would say through that, my college career, got an internship at the Boeing company in Seattle. Did 3 internships, and once I graduated, 2 weeks later, came to start my full-time career at Boeing, and that's how I ended up in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
8 years later, yeah.
Man,
So
what
a
a
little bit hopping around, different continents.
traveling.
Yes,
All that good stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. But you got to kind of see the world too, so you don't
Yes.
even have to do too much traveling.
I did.
Yeah.
I did at a very young age. Got to see, traveling and having siblings all over the world. So yeah, it was nice. I really got a chance to see the cultural differences around the world. I always say
Mhm.
America is still the biggest culture shock
Oh yeah.
of them all. So not growing up here, coming in here, as well as a 16, 17-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
that was also another culture shock. So yeah, it's been quite a journey for me.
Yeah, and I think you have a unique journey too because I'm part of the group that we grew up outside the U.S. and then we came here. But you born here in New York
Yes.
and then went back home to Africa
Yes.
to the Gambia. How was that? I mean, was that did you enjoy that? I guess that journey specifically from the Gambia, being back home there and kind of understanding the culture.
Oh yes, I absolutely love that experience for me,
Mm-hmm.
because it's rooted into understanding where you're truly from. If anything, America is a melting pot anyway. But for me, it's like growing up, everyone looks like you. Your family's there. You're learning the language. You're learning the culture. You're understanding where your ancestors are from.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no feeling like that. And obviously, as a kid, I don't know that. I'm not having that perspective. But that gave me a core foundation of always being true to my roots, always knowing where I'm from. No matter where life takes me, I always know that Gambia is my home.
Mm-hmm.
So having that for me was immense in allowing me to navigate the different challenges and world and just what you face as an adult. Your compass will always be to remember that maybe whatever you do, whatever gives you passion, people you interact, challenges you go to, you always have the perspective of where you're from. And, I thought that was huge for me in terms of self-belief as well as confidence in things I was pursuing at the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And we, I came to the States when I was 3 with my mom, and then we went back in 2011. So I was around 10, 11 years old. But I haven't been back since.
Oh, you haven't been?
I haven't been back
you're
since.
overdue, bro.
Yeah, I'm overdue. And now that I finished college, I have no excuse now.
Yes, exactly, exactly. You should go back.
I want to go back, man. I have a deep desire to even, even have more Eritrean, features on this podcast too. People have said that, to even do a potential one in my language, you know what I mean?
You should.
And then do it in English subtitles. So I have a love for my country too, man. Trust me.
There's
But
nothing like it.
no, man. It's something about it too that like, have you? I guess like when you were kind of pursuing your educational success and life success, and you had obviously being a fellow engineer like you, it was not an easy journey. In those days when you didn't want to do it, when you had those bad days, was thinking about people back home, was that a motivation for you, or what motivated you?
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of it. Is imagine us, our generation. We're now in the U.S. and studying to learn to become engineers, right? That is a huge progression from 2-3 centuries ago, what our ancestors were facing through colonization, imperialism. We can date back, like our country has been being forced to be oppressed for so long. And, we're now finally even at that generation where we can actually begin to start reversing what was done to us.
Yes.
So being able to say I come from Gambia, the smallest country in Africa, my ancestors, here I am, I'm studying to become an engineer and learn how, things work in the world, how machines work. Like,
Incredible.
that's like, just that, you basically like, it's like a responsibility.
Yeah.
You owe that to yourself. I'm like, sometimes we get motivated about making our parents proud, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of times the motivation you have. You want to make your parents proud. You don't want to disappoint them.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that is all part of it. But you don't want to disappoint yourself. Your parents worked so hard to give you an opportunity to pursue what you're doing. You are not as the average maybe American kid in college who's just there for sometimes vibes, there for hi, whatever happens is okay.
Yeah.
Like we have a little bit more purpose.
Yeah.
So
Average does not cut it for us.
exactly, average doesn't cut it. So it gets tough. Us as engineers, those long nights, they're tough. If you have an engineering degree, I was just like, respect to you. I know you've been in the trenches. Like you've really had to push yourself and really have to have mental toughness, willing to fail and get up and repeat and try and reach your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the essence for me why I appreciate engineering degrees is not actually towards in the end what you are actually learning and studying.
Mm-hmm.
It's testing yourself, really pushing yourself and knowing that whatever you put your mind to, no matter how hard it is, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
And finding sources of motivation are great. And for me, it was just in realizing that, look, the opportunity I've had as a Gambian man to come to the #1 aviation school in the world to study aerospace engineering, I should roll up my sleeves.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Oh yeah. And even the beginning when you were talking about like, we come from Africa and we're here in the United States of America, where people back home think, the streets of gold, like the US is seen as big because of the opportunity.
Right.
And we've become engineers and we've worked at the highest of companies and we're, progressing in our journey. That is more than just a dream come true.
That's a 1% of the 1%. And that's the thing. It's a 1% of the 1%. And how are you going to like move? It's, if God has blessed you with such an opportunity, what are you going to do with it? Are you not going to make something out of yourself? Because it could have been given to anyone.
Yes.
It could have been given to anyone. The fact that we can sit here and have this conversation, that's already a blessing. And what are we going to do to ensure more conversations like us can happen? More people can come here and talk about their journeys. And obviously, it's not, I wish we didn't have to come to America to build up ourselves. I wish this was, maybe if I wanted to go to Eritrea to master a skill or learn a trade, I wish I didn't even have to leave the continent of Africa in order for me to gain an education, learn, and, go through these things. Nevertheless, 4,000 years ago, maybe, this has been setting up for this to happen.
Yes.
But then it's like, okay, this is what we can do. How do we ensure there's going to be more versions of us? And it's by us doing it. If I don't get to see my cousin go and become an aerospace engineer as well and tell me about her experience, I never then believe it's possible. So if people don't actually see us do these things, representation, how will we ever believe it's possible then?
Yeah.
So those are all of the things. Obviously, at the time, that's not what's motivating you. Now it's from a reflective state.
Yeah.
But at the time of college, you just have some sort of internal drive and motivation that is actually shared a lot of time among us other African immigrants in the college. We just move in like, bro, like failure is not an option here. We will find a way to get this done.
You have to.
Our parents have suffered and sacrificed for us to be here, and we cannot squander it. And, that's kind of, that alone will get you through those tough days.
Oh, 100%. And it helped me, definitely helped me. I started in 2019 and 2024, this past June graduated. So 5 years of, and mixed with who would have thought COVID would happen.
COVID, yeah. You guys
online classes. So
it's a lot.
It had its pros and cons because on the other side, it allowed for people to, collaborate more during tests and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? But it did have a lot of its challenges and stuff. But, we got through it. It didn't matter what the world was going to throw at us.
True.
So do you feel like that we don't celebrate kind of that black African excellence enough?
Not in what, for me, I want us to celebrate in. I feel like our celebrations tend to be focused too much on entertainment, for my liking sometimes. I feel like when it comes to academia, when it comes to inventions, when it comes to critical thinkers and people who are trying to solve problems for our societies, that being the forefront of our discussion, I think we get distracted too much by entertainment industry. We are so that is my personal opinion on it. So the answer is a no. We're doing enough. The only group of people which I don't even like giving them credit like this that do a good job is Nigerians. you know, I'm not. I would say if you look at their accomplishments in like even in the U.S. like Nigerian Americans, I think like over 50+% of black doctors in the U.S. are of Nigerian heritage.
Really?
Yes, it's a huge amount. If you look at the average income of American immigrants, you would find Nigerian Americans among the higher upper echelon of those demographics. So
No, why is that?
why is it?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to talk about Nigerians, but I don't know. It's a combination of things. I cannot answer that.
Yeah.
But maybe because I always say there's 200 million people of them. So,
It's a lot of them, yeah.
I mean, 1 in 6 Africans are Nigerians. If we did the numbers game,
Yes.
they will have a higher percentage
Certainly some of them will come
successful
up.
groups. Yes.
Right.
And, bigger community, bigger market, they can be able to have more resources to support each other. That's my theory, but I'm not giving them any more credit outside of that.
So,
but,
we'll stop talking about them.
We'll give them, yes, but I do look at them, though, in they're driven, sometimes at a fault, but they are proud of, accomplishing things that, maybe in other fields that we don't focus on. So I think we need more of that. I get it. We all love football. We love our music. We love our culture. We love our entertainment. And that's always going to be there because that's inherently spiritual in us. But when it comes to where we're at right now, how do we impact and inspire the next generation? I think us being problem solvers, critical thinkers, and making things that help and build back our communities back home, I hope there's a shift that happens.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Ebrima, when you think about your pursuit of engineering, of educational success and excellence, and all the amazing things you've done kind of in your past and you continue to do, has there been anyone when you were growing up that inspired you, that was a role model? It could be a historical engineer or a black figure or your dad or whoever it is that inspired you that you looked up to, or did you not have one?
I would say it's from within. It's definitely looking at my older siblings. So I'm the youngest of 5.
Wow.
And, all my siblings are extremely successful in the paths that they chose. And growing up so young, you were witnessing at the phase of seeing them put their mind to achieve whatever they were passionate or wherever they were trying to go. And you were like on a fly on the wall, seeing them get there. And that was the biggest inspiration for me in terms of realizing, really, whatever you put your mind to, you will get there.
You can do it.
As long as you're consistent, you're passionate, you're dedicated to it, you will get there. And when you get to see 4 tries and iterations of that from your brother to seeing his journey all the way through where he's at, you see your sister, your older sister, you see another brother, you see another sister, all having a passion, wanting to achieve something and be something in their lives, whatever they were passionate, driven by, and you saw how hard they worked towards getting there. That for me was the biggest inspiration in knowing that, okay, whatever I really do put my mind to, as long as I'm all out invested to do so, I'll be able to achieve that. So it's really my older siblings, and of course their mentorship, their guidance. Imagine having that sort of playbook, as you've seen 4 versions of different tries, and you've seen mistakes they've done, things they could have done better, and they're guiding you and putting you in a position to be successful. Couldn't be more grateful, but that really was a huge source of inspiration. I was lucky I didn't have to look anywhere else outside of my family.
Yeah. That's interesting because for me, it's the other way around. I'm the oldest of 4.
Oh, okay. So
And
you're the trailblazer.
I'm the trailblazer, literally. I was blazing the trail, and I'm like, listen, this is what I'm doing, and it was fun because my mom held a graduation party for me.
Nice.
and my other friend who graduated from college, and just seeing my siblings there was inspiring, just because I'm like, hey, I'm kind of giving them like the blueprint. I'm like, hey, you don't have to be an engineer like me,
Yes.
but at least you should try to finish school at least up to the college level. Again, school may not be for everyone, I get that, but this is what I did. I've tried to be the best role model that I can amongst my pursuits in school and the podcast, whatever I'm doing. So I know a lot of people say being the oldest is the best, but it's a lot of pressure.
It is. It's a lot of responsibility, but I can say you're doing exactly what you're doing. I'm sure your younger siblings are extremely proud of you.
Oh man, I appreciate
Just keep
that.
doing it, and you're showing them challenge yourself, never settle, always have big dreams, keep motivating yourselves, and you're showing them how your version.
Yeah.
So, like you said, they don't have to copy and paste your version, but you're showing in a way things you're doing to get to where you want to be. So I think that's huge representation. So hearing that, that is inspiring. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure they'll even make you more proud as well.
I hope so, man. I hope so, and I appreciate that, man. Ebrima, tell us a little bit more about Brima Wear. And I know we kind of talked about this on the phone, but tell us a little bit. What was the inspiration to start that, and what that is actually?
Yeah. So as of now, Brima Wear, I really just think of it as a concept of a plan I have. It's like, when they asked Donald Trump, Mr. President, do you have a plan? Yes or no? He's like, I have concepts of a plan.
Yeah.
I'm never so. Brima Wear is really, as of now, I can genuinely say this is a concept of a plan for me that was driven by a problem I just had. Like, we all have own personal problems. And my personal problem was, how do I maintain my waves, work out, go to the gym, play football, as well as when I wake up in the morning, I'm not looking for my do-rag. This is a daily problem of just hair care and maintenance.
I've had that, man.
So,
I wake up, the do-rag is on the other side of the room. I'm like, what was I doing,
it's
man?
everywhere but on top of your hair. So, that's just what we are. I've had this problem for a while, and you kind of look for solutions.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me try the strap. Let me try the Velcro. Let me try different materials, So you're also doing your own, trying different alternatives, and you're just not finding one that's satisfactory for you. So I would just say probably 6+ years of, consistently wearing do-rags to go to bed every day, like wearing it consistently, complaining to friends, family about, man, someone should make something better. How come? What are all of these big companies doing? Your biggest athletes wear do-rags on a daily basis. No, they don't have. They have all the resources for R&D to come up with a true athleisure wear solution for black men who wear do-rags.
Right.
But and then what the answer is: lack of representation. Companies are never founded for driven around solution-based, even clothing for people who look like me and you. So it's like that harsh reality. And compared to my own personal problem, my concept of a plan is, for us, our own culture. We need our own version of our own Nike. We need our own version of our own Lululemon that was made really for us, problems we face daily in performance, in leisure, in fashion, in culture, just in all of that. Like, my vision is I want that for our own culture.
Yeah.
I want, our own factories in our own countries.
Absolutely.
Us sourcing our own materials that are sustainable in our own factories. So that is really my vision. And Brima Wear is just me, just right now, just having that concept of showing, here's what, just me alone. Let me just see what I can do. Just to even just light a match and see where things are going. And long story short, I just chose the do-rag as my personal problem and saying, okay, how can I take a do-rag and using our engineering principles of product design development, how do we identify what the problems are, what the solution would be if you wanted to transform it to like a modern day athletic headwear. So that's just really what it was. I went in the lab for like maybe a year. I know nothing about fashion. I know nothing about apparel, but you just knew you needed this solution. So that's what we do. This is what we did in college. Find ways to challenge ourselves, find solutions to problems. And I simply just transferred product design and development and my career as a design engineer at that time into headwear, and came up with do-rag design that solved my problem.
Yeah.
And just was a proof to my point that if I can just do it, think of a problem that we're facing, and me not knowing anything about fashion and apparel, come up with a solution. This just shows you who is actually designing stuff solution-based for people like us. So that's really where Brima Wear came up. And right now it's been really a year since I've just even appeared on the internet to show people here's what you can do if you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for high performance or athleisure headwear. If you wore durags and you knew that you wanted more functionality and didn't want to sacrifice on the style for it, this is what you can do. If
Mm-hmm.
you want a skull cap, this is what you can do. But it's just very starting on. I'm just really showing that concept to people, and in doing so, I want to learn what it takes in 2024 to grow a business.
Absolutely. And are you in the phase where you've given samples to people to test, or are you still conceptualizing how
No, I
that's
mean
gonna?
we're fully launched now. We fully
Mhm.
launched in April this year, so we have an online store. People can go and get the product, try it out, write us reviews,
Amazing.
and see what that concept of an idea is.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I call this my practical MBA because I also want to learn what the world of business, what it will take if I have that vision concept of a plan. What would it take for me to understand how the market works, how our target demographics works, how advertising works, what it takes to understand how to manage your inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no better way of learning what it takes to grow a successful business than to actually be doing it, than going in a classroom. So I always say this is a investment for me to have a practical MBA.
Wow.
So
Uh,
that's Brima Wear for me in short right
Man,
now. Yeah.
I'm for sure gonna buy one, and we're gonna attach the
I got
website
some
link.
for you. Don't worry.
Do
I
you
got
really?
some for
You brought some for me?
Yeah, bro. I got a couple for you over
Oh
here,
man.
and I'll briefly just show you. These are
Yeah.
two of the products I currently have, and we come up with our full packaging. Me, I'm big on you gotta give the full packaging experience. So
Oh.
this right here is the skull cap. That's a
Okay.
performance skull cap. And the whole concept here is you just need to just have a stylish, a moisture wicking, sweat resistant,
Yeah.
high performance skull cap that you can just throw on. And that really is
That
the
will stay
concept.
on, too.
Yes, that will stay on too. You can work out in. And this here, the next one I have for you this is our durag. This is really the concept of the
Uh-oh.
plan. This is
I'm excited.
this one's for you. This is I call it the
Oh,
leisure
man.
durag. This is one you
Thank
can
you.
wear all day and overnight. It's anti-slip. It's built
Wow.
to be adjustable, built to just throw it on, simply slip it on, and you
Yeah.
can slide it up and down to adjust as you need
Absolutely.
to. So again, you just know it's really I call it an engineered durag, and it's nothing fancy. It's not to show that we did some partial fraction differentiation or anything like that. It's just to show
Just
that
a little bit, maybe.
yeah, maybe. Just to show, you write down, you figure out, what's the concept of engineering solutions is writing down all of the problems,
Mm-hmm.
writing down what are all the requirements you need for, and really, if you're trying to create a multifunctional durag,
Yeah.
what are all the requirements for something? That's anything they ask us to design or make. We write down what the requirements are. You write down what are all also the problems based on those requirements. And then you actually come up with what your expected solution is, and you design, develop, test, and validate that until you get to a point where, based on people's feedback and your own testing,
Yes.
you're ready to, go to market or release your product. So that's what you're just seeing there, to be honest.
No, I love it, man. I love it,
And,
and we're gonna have the website in the description down below, so
Yeah.
people can go and find this and purchase this and support your business. I love the logo, by the way. What was I guess how did you come up with the A in the end?
Oh,
Because that's very unique.
man,
y'all can see
it's
this.
nothing crazy. You just
Huh?
find people to make logos for you, and you just tell them,
Ah.
I just make it. The name is Brima. Find, some ways to emphasize what the name signifies as well, this is named after my great great grandfather. Most people think it's named after me because they just removed the E from my name. It's Brima.
And it's Brima.
But yeah, my name is Ebrima, but this is Brima, meaning it's after my great great grandfather, whose name was Brima as well. And it's just tying back also the brand into always where we're from, our roots, naming after my great great grandfather, showing,
Wow.
In the region of Senegal where he's from. And, his involvement in, kingdoms that happened at that time, working with kings and leaders at the time. And every single color that we have our product is actually named around a place, people, or story from the continent of Africa. So
Wow.
the whole brand is also dedicated to show that this is our roots. Like everything, this concept of a plan, wherever Brima Wear goes, its North Star is always the continent of Africa. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the inspiration that drives me into basically anything I pursue.
Wow. I kind of staying on that topic too. Whenever I think about it, a lot of people have even said since graduation, what are your plans after graduating? How are you going to use your engineering degree? And I have a good job right now, but ideally, my heart pulls me to go back home and use it there, and do some kind of projects. Like I have another friend of mine who's from the Gambia, and we've joked about it, but I was serious about it. Like, man, in the future, if we could put some kind of connection point where transportation system between West and East Africa, North and South, and everywhere in between. Like, these are like dreams that I legit have. Like, I want to go back home and us two as engineers and other people take our skills and talents that we've learned here and revolutionize Africa, man.
Bro, it has to be us. This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Who is going to do it?
If not us, no one.
We're going to leave it to foreigners to go and get rich from our own country and just take whatever they build. Like anyone else who goes and invests in our continent, that is not from where we're from. It is not to stay there. It will not stay there. Like, it literally is us. We don't come here to the US and apply and learn these skills at the best places to just think that we're just going to retire here and just give everything back.
Right.
We're here to collect. We're here to, gather the tools, gather the resources, gather the connection points, right? Build a network. And the mission will always be to go back home.
Yeah.
I always say, I'm very unapologetic about that. I will go into my performance reviews at work, and I'll tell my managers, our senior leaders, this is a mission for me. This is just a pit stop for me. I'm here to acquire knowledge, experience, skill on your dime so that I can go back home and apply it.
Wow. And what is their reaction when you say that?
Obviously, they find it, somewhat inspiring. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But I've told you my truth. Are you gonna help me gain the experiences I need to know what it takes for me to go back home and collaborate with you, with our fellow colleagues who are here, into building and owning? We need to own our future back home. We need to go and build our industries. We need to be the ones who come up with the solutions, because if we're successful and we're making the bread stays on the continent.
Yes.
Our families, our countries, benefit from it. So you being successful is as important to me as any other African should be. So, we're here in the diaspora, we're, gaining engineering degrees, applying it at the best places, but there has to be a little bit more than that. Also, we're very early on, but, I always say you should look at yourself in the next 10, 15 years, how much skills and experience are you going to gain? How rich will your network be? How many challenges have you solved in this world that you are thinking how that can translate back home? Yeah. Because it doesn't exist back home. Everything has been done here, so saturated. Back home, we're just getting started. So we have to do it anyway. I'm sorry, I can go on this whole. I'm very passionate about this.
I love it, man. This is inspirational.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
We really have to do it. And this younger generation, our younger brothers, sisters, cousins, they don't see it right now. They don't see it yet. So if we don't actually show them, in terms of seeing us being able to apply that path and actually bring those ideas, concepts into reality, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? So why did our parents send us here? Yeah. That's what I always say. Why did our parents send us here? Yeah. Why are we here in the U.S.? Right. They wanted us to have a better life. That is true. Yes. And that is all dependent also on how serious we are. Do we actually care about having a better life for ourselves? Yes. Removing the burden from our parents and actually being able for them to see what their return of investment on
ROI,
us.
Yeah. On your own kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
But once you achieve that, it can't be enough. It can't be enough. What is the ROI now for when you start your own family and build your own kids? Is your ROI I came here, I live my American dream, I'm comfortable, I brought you here in this world, that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I felt like that is an incomplete mission.
Well, again, and it goes back to, just average just does not cut it. You can be average if you want. Then again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, you kind of, in order to achieve something extraordinary, you have to be extraordinary.
Facts.
So
Facts.
That's kind of the way I see it. We've talked about Brima Wear. the Jola Meets the Madi podcast.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
us a little bit about that.
I mean, this is a Jola Meets the Madi podcast. Everything we talked about. And that's really is, shout out to Anzo. This is my true brother here. Best friend of mine. He's a true brother to me. And it's the same thing. It's, us 5-6 years ago, we have these conversations on what are we doing in the US? What our experiences as African millennials in the US, what are we doing? How do we make sense of why we're here, getting our careers? Like, how are we tying this back into our love for where we're from, the motherland? And it's a collective experience that you see, we both have even just sitting here. So that's the basis of the podcast is two African millennials. And we always say we're canoeing through life and its experiences, but we are Afrocentric. We are really Afrocentrics. We are Pan-Africanists. But to a point now, I always say we're actually Afrocentric. Everything we care about, we're passionate about, and what we're doing, it's kind of like evolving or rotating around the continent of Africa. And we want to just, have these conversations, talk about our experiences. We talk about everything, but it's all centered around what it's like being an African millennial, especially living abroad. So that is the podcast, really. And, Anzo and I, shout out to DJ Anzo, we just have these conversations. And it's been going on for, I think, 6 years now. So
wow.
Yeah, like
congrats.
Podcast going on for 6 years is no easy feat.
No, that is not easy at all.
But it's been an amazing journey. This was something really we was wanted to have conversations for our friends and family to listen to, especially during COVID time, just to listen to. But that's the beauty of podcasts. That's the beauty of what you're doing. It's actually person you don't know that you have the greatest impact on. That then messages you, tells you how much they appreciate what you're doing to keep going. It's always strangers technically that support you more than anyone else.
Yes.
And that's how you tell it's like, man, if I'm just impacting one person's life through conversations we're having, you are doing more than enough.
Yes.
If you're, making even like do-rights and you just improve one person's life, just made one little thing better, like you have done enough. So that's the power of podcasting and conversations. And that's what the Jola Meets the Madi is. And, we say it's about everything African. And we just hope, people like us who are abroad in the shared common experiences can relate and somewhat, drive back that you are not from here. I don't care if you are not from here.
Yeah.
I don't care if you were born here and grew up here. Right. If your parents emigrated from any country in Africa, that's where you're from. So we just try to remind people of that. And it's always light too. We always have our banter, talk about our music, talk about our culture. So that's the basis of the podcast in a very little longer summary.
Yeah. Well, I wish you guys the best, man. Continue for the 7th anniversary, 8th and on. And this has been 2 years. And 2 years is
Congrats.
not even easy.
That's a big thing.
Thank you. It is, indeed. And a year of doing video. But again, it's not easy. But it's, again, when you have that passion, when you have that drive, you're willing to keep going.
Facts.
Ebrima, as we're kind of coming to the end, I want to kind of ask you, amidst you come across to me as someone who's very inspirational and who's very deeply loves where they're from and who has a passion to share that love and show that to others and especially to Africans and to remind people of that. When your time has come and it's time for you to go, what is the legacy kind of that you want to leave behind here that people will be like, man, Ebrima was this? Like, what is that legacy?
Shush. I mean, I've never really thought of what legacy I'll build because I feel like I haven't even gotten started, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really don't think I've even started. Like I said, I think if anything, where am I right now is still concepts of that plan. I have concepts of the plan to really, at the end of the day, if I can have impact in where I was from, in being able to keep moving forward our generations, from my great-grandparents to my parents to me, and if I can pass that on into, inshallah, a future family, we're just transversing forward, but in a sense, reclaiming what was always us, which was what we were inherently as people before the colonizers came. So if I can make just strike the match and just contribute towards the prosperity of the people from where I hailed from, for me, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough. I don't know what that will mean. I don't know how that will look like because I felt like, again, I really haven't started in anything, where in hindsight, really, we're very early on into this journey.
Yeah.
And we're moving fast. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you got to also move fast and with urgency. You want to fail as quickly as possible.
Indeed.
Don't be complacent. So applying full pressure, and the pressure will always be centered towards giving back to where I was from. What happens, inshallah, I hope it's great things. I hope I leave good impact into, especially, firstly, in the world, into people, but most importantly, my own family and where I'm from.
Wow.
That's just what I hope, and I don't know how that will look like, but, we shall see.
We shall see, yeah. Whenever someone does ask me this kind of question, I kind of respond the same way, too, though, because the first words that come to mind is the inspiration part. I want to do that. But again, we're just so young,
Yes,
man. We don't
too
even
early.
know
Yeah.
where it's going to take us. But,
Yep.
it's going to be exciting. Before we close, I have a little fun question I kind of wanted to just throw in here. Sometimes when I look at the Habesha community, Ethiopians, Eritreans, and even probably Africans as a whole, we share this. But when we are outside of our country, it's not easy for us as Africans to come together. Even as Eritreans, we're all kind of doing our own things. We're all kind of scattered everywhere. How do you think we as Africans can come together more amidst the fact that we are in a whole new continent and kind of, have these connection points more? Is it like conversation? Is it weekly meetings? How would you think we do that?
We need to mentally decolonize ourselves first, because we were inherently came up in a world that we were, literally, it was the world construct the new world order is set up for Africans to not be united. That's why we're 54 countries instead of one real country, like the United States of Africa.
Wow.
So we need to start moving and thinking like the United States of Africa. We hail from the region of Africa that it has been now claimed through borders called Eritrea by the colonizers. I hail from the western part of Africa that the British now decide to call Gambia. But that's the thing. Until we start claiming nationalism as our identity, we will not be able to unite. Wow. Because we have been mentally colonized to think that you're from Eritrea, I'm from Gambia. We're just African. So that's how I always say, that's where I think, and this is the conversation we need to have, but the self-acknowledgement of that, we need to stop thinking we're from 54 or 56 African countries.
Wow.
Until we start thinking like that, I don't think we can truly be united, because we will always first think, okay, my country first, where I'm from first, that nationalist identity. Even me, I still do that, and I have to always remind myself that if I find a fellow African, and we want to work together, we have ideas together, we want to build together, you have to take away that I'm from here, you're from here mindset out of it. Yeah. So that's what I hope is, that self-acknowledgement first, and the mentality that we really should be a United States of Africa. And it's time for us to get rid of these colonial borders out of our head.
United States of Africa. Wow. Yep. I've never even thought about that.
The US of A. That's the US of A.
That is the real US of A, huh?
Yeah.
With a big capital A.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, Ebrima, man, this has been a joy. We are at the part of the podcast I like to call the deep end, which is anyone that is at this point, they're going to get the best question and the way to wrap it up. Amidst everything that you've done, amidst all you've already kind of given us advice throughout the podcast, but collectively as a whole, to aspiring Black professionals out there, in fact, to just African professionals, everyone who's listening to this, that want to either go on it, let's say there are engineers like us, or they have their own path that they want to do, what advice would you give them?
Ooh, I always say is when you seek growth, you actually want to go through the hardest possible route. I will always say you have to challenge yourself. You cannot be comfortable. You want it to be hard. So at the end of the day, That's all I can really show. If you're doing something and it's really, really hard, you really, really want it. Like, how bad do you want it? And it's super hard. I feel like that is the foundation of you being able to think of, envision, and dream of everything and being able to achieve it. Because that's what will give you the discipline. That's what will make you consistent. That's what will give you the drive needed to achieve, hopefully, things that are centered around where you're from again and living your purpose. But I just think you have this world, and especially how complicated we are, and where the world we've been now raised and grow up in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, you have to chase things that are hard. You have to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself. And that's just all the best thing I can say. I don't know how that will look like, but I feel like challenging yourself and really pushing yourself, and overcoming that will build you the toughness, the drive, the resilience you needed to overcome anything. So that's the best thing I can say. Find your heart and choose it and stick to it.
Wow. What a way to close. Ebrima, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate
this
it.
has been an honor. Before I close this out in the outro, is there anything that you want to plug? Any social medias, and where can people connect with you, or anything else in the last comments?
So again, what Armin is holding, Brima Wear. Check out Brima Wear. Check out the concept of a plan for athleisure headwear. Check out our podcast if you want to hear about all things African as well. The Jola Madi podcast on IG. And if you do want to reach out to me, my Instagram is @aroe_e. So, but you'll find me if you want to reach out to me. I'm always open to talk to anyone, but please don't waste my time.
Wow. Do not waste his time, y'all. He's too busy changing the world. You know what I mean? No.
It's not like that. But it's just like, please.
Yeah. No, don't spam. I hate spamming, man. I hate people who do that.
You know how it is.
So, absolutely, man. Well, thank you, Brima. And y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this awesome episode, and stay tuned as we roll on in the Black Experience. Till next time, y'all. Peace. What is up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in to that episode. Make sure to click the subscribe, follow button, as well as the bell to get notified on all my new content that is coming out every Wednesday and every other day. And make sure to click that link in the description down below to get access to all my socials and any other platforms that I have my podcast on. And until next time, y'all, peace.